So far, so good. All right, guys, here we go. Finn, look ahead. There you go. Way to keep it. That's attaboy. All right. Don't go nowhere. All right, guys, you got microphones are going live now. Stand by.
Not tonight.
Oh, good God, look at me. I can't even look at it. Oh, there we go. Hey, guys, welcome in here. It is NBA Draft Night 2020 at WagerTalk. I'm Joe Ranieri, and look at this ugly-ass crew I got around me here tonight. Actually, just Tony Finn. We got a bunch of Tonys, though. Tony Mejia, Tony Finn, Rob Vino, Hakeem Prophet here, all here getting ready for the 2020 NBA Draft. A little bit late. We're usually doing this earlier in the year, but you know, COVID happened, so everything gets thrown out the window. And we're going to start up in the corner there with Tony Mejia, the man responsible for putting all of this here together, guys. And Tony, got some prop bets, still some time to put some prop bets, obviously, for the draft. Talk to us a little bit about what you're anticipating seeing and what, if anything, you've got already tickets for that you're betting tonight.
Well, I mean, if the betting markets are any indication, it looks like we're going to have Anthony Edwards as the #1 pick in this draft and not LaMelo Ball. And you could have made some money on that earlier in the week, considering Ball was the heavy favorite on Monday. So we'll see what somebody knows, but clearly that's where the money is. Minnesota potentially taking Edwards 1. My favorite bet coming into this, as far as draft position goes, was James Wiseman going to Golden State with the #2 pick. Now there's news that Klay Thompson potentially injured his right leg. Too early to tell the severity of it, but it's clear that that could factor into some decisions being made tonight, and a lot of picks in play. So I'm going to have some props later on the channel, and my favorite thing to do is bet conferences and over-unders on how many players get selected from where. So I'll share some of those a little bit later.
Love that. All right, let me go to Mr. Rob Vino. Long time no see, Mr. Vino. You heard him, Anthony Edwards at the top here. You got another Ball going. You got Wiseman. Is this just a 3-horse race in this draft here? What else are you looking for tonight, if anything, Rob?
Yeah, I think the draft probably starts at 4, right? Some version of those 3 players will go 1, 2, and 3. Depending upon who Minnesota chooses. Then 4 is really where it starts. We see a lot of Obi Toppin mentioned to the Chicago Bulls. We'll see if that comes true. And then we'll see, Joe, the NBA draft night is always interesting because teams draft players and then 10 minutes later you find out that they drafted them for somebody else. So it'll be interesting to see the trades that go on here throughout the night. I've got something here that I just came across where we'll talk about in a little bit, where maybe we'll see a significant trade of players here on draft night. But otherwise, it should be interesting. Like I say, we'll see which way Minnesota goes, and then I think the whole horse race starts at #4.
All right, and Ski, let me ask you here, Ski Profit, WagerTalk.com. Also, guys, want to just alert you to what's going on in the scroll below us over here. Great opportunity for you to be able to get any of these guys. Get the NBA season, package it up right now, get it at the best price, the lowest price you're ever going to be able to do it. And speaking of one of the best, Ski, who's your hell no tonight, man? Like, who do you think, what team is going to just go, oh, hell no, I cannot believe they did? Is it the Knicks? Like, who are you looking at tonight for a possible, oh, I can't believe they did it?
Well, I'm not as high as some of the other guys on Obi Toppin, so I'm looking for him to go later in the draft. I guess that would be a hell no, but I do miss the hell no from the regular show. I'll say in this one, I wrote down the odds from what I kind of selected earlier in the week, so I know they changed now, but when I was looking, Anthony Edwards was plus 140 for the first pick, and I had Wiseman second, just like Tony Mejia, but you never know. Maybe LaMelo can sneak up in there with the Klay Thompson news, so we'll see. I have pretty much all the players 1 through 15. I have some kind of bet on them, so as we go, I'll just share.
So, Tony Finn, I've been dreading this moment, but yes, I eventually have to bring you in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. But Tony Finn, always a pleasure to see you, my man. Talk to us here a little bit. This has been such a crazy 2020, right? So the draft's now at the end of the year. It's competing with the NFL. Hell, there's MAC football on tonight, Tony Finn. There's actually MAC football on here tonight, but we're talking NBA. And who are you looking at? Give me some names and give me some teams who you think this is a pretty darn important draft that they really do need to get this right. And which teams do you have here tonight at the top of this board that you think better nail it or else?
Well, you really don't want me to talk that long, do you?
It's a good point. Never mind.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep this really short. Here's what I'm going to say. First off, after listening to the rest of this esteemed panel, if Ball doesn't go first, I have a feeling if I look at who I think, if everyone drafts to their needs and at least to some of their press, the GMs, that maybe Ball doesn't go till the 5th pick. So there's a prop out there, I think Ball over 2.5 that pays almost 2-1, if I'm not mistaken, plus 190 or something like that. I believe that to be the case. That would be one of my prop bets, and I think at this point in time, who's going to surprise us? Well, it's the year of the COVID. It's the year of Rona. It's the year of the bitch, and anything can happen. So if our new GM for the Minnesota Timberwolves makes a mistake and calls out Pooh Richardson as the number 1 pick, he probably needs to be replaced immediately because Minnesota doesn't have a great history. They've had drafts where they've had 4 picks in the first round, I think, due to trades. And Pooh Richardson being their first overall pick ever. Somebody a lot smarter than me on this panel could probably tell me where Pooh is now. That's what I got for you so far.
You just couldn't wait to work in the word poo. I know exactly how that works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of crap, let me go ahead and go to Tony Mejia here. No, and all honestly, Tony, because he brought up LaMelo Ball. A big conversation here. A lot of people saying, I know the line is 2.5. I believe the over is $1.50 right now. The under almost close to $2. Where does LaMelo go in your draft board right now? Where does LaMelo go? And if you were drafting tonight and you were a GM, where should he go? Would you want him?
I wouldn't want him just because I haven't seen enough from him. He moved around in high school and played in Lithuania, then played in Australia and did well. I mean, I think he is going to be a Lonzo Ball type. And obviously they have a different career trajectory with Lonzo actually going to UCLA and doing it conventionally. And this kid being with his brother LiAngelo and being paired with him as the next prodigy that Lonzo so far hasn't been. Now, Lonzo's a great player. I think LaMelo is going to be a solid player, but I wouldn't take him that early. You know, that being said, I think Tony Finn's prop bet is probably on point in terms of going to over 2.5. But there's danger in Golden State moving out of 2 if a team like the Knicks wants to be desperate enough to get a bona fide name in there, a star, and they view LaMelo Ball as that. That's something that they could potentially and pick him at number 2. If not, I think he's going to go to the Charlotte Hornets at 3, give a team that badly needs some star power and name recognition another face. And for Mike to stand back and point and laugh at Jordan terrorizing him for his indiscretions. So we'll see how that works out.
If there is a basketball guard, he should land with Michael Jordan and Shaw. We want to see the LeVar and company and Shaw and see how that goes, because that would be so much fun for everybody. A bit of breaking news just before we came on too. Rob, I'll turn to you because you were the one that told us here off air. Injury news to report here, possibly there, Golden State Warriors. There's a story floating around. What did you hear, and what, if anything, do you effect on the draft do you think it'll have tonight?
Well, right now, the severity of the injury isn't being detailed, so I think that the draft probably goes on as their draft board existed, for Golden State. I don't think there'll be any switches to that. I would think James Wiseman's the guy. But yeah, Klay Thompson with a injury to his right leg in a workout, and we'll see how severe it is, guys. Like I say, right now, We don't know the severity of it. If we see Golden State, and I mean, you could obviously take a flyer on this, but if we see Golden State go guard or wing rather than big man here, we'll know that something's really up with Klay Thompson and his health for this season. But as of right now, I think they probably go on as they planned with drafting Wiseman, the kid from Memphis who didn't really get on the floor for us to see his potential. I say real quick about LaMelo Ball, guys. It's going to be interesting. You know, I hope to goodness, here was my thought. I hope to goodness that Minnesota does draft him number 1, because if they draft him number 1, the Minnesota Timberwolves were already a dead over team. I mean, if it's 235 or less, just play Minnesota over with Karl Anthony Towns and Russell and their disdain for defense. If they add LaMelo Ball to the mix and those totals don't rise to 245, then, and maybe if they do, we'll still be betting Minnesota over, because in that Australian league where he played, interesting statistic here, 133 players in that league. And personal defensive rating, the person who ranked 133rd out of 133 players, LaMelo Ball. So the worst defensive player in an Australian league, I would love to have him on the Timberwolves so that we can come on our NBA tip-off show every day and just fire Minnesota over the total this year.
And what a shot. It's just going to keep going up and going up and going up. And, you know, I got to ask you, Ski, in your opinion here, outside of the top 3, I'll give you a 4. One of the weaker drafts, and a lot of people, at least that's what we're hearing with the talking heads, right? One of the weaker drafts we've seen. So outside of those top 4, is there anybody else that you're looking at or think can really shock a lot of people?
There definitely is. But before I move on from that, I just wanted to comment really quick. I'm seeing some stuff on Twitter. I'm getting the assumption that Klay tore his Achilles. And I'm seeing LaMelo Ball, and I Instagram Live holding up a 2 saying like this, he's going second, I guess.
Oh boy.
I'm the kind of guy who I'm a LaMelo Ball fan. I'm not gonna lie. I think LaMelo is the best player in this draft, and I know his defense is not great. I want to see him do good, so I don't want to see him go to Minnesota because it won't really be great over there either. It probably would be the same in Golden State if he's next to Steph Curry as well. So we'll see. But I would rather see him go to Golden State. I do think, like, now if you know you don't have Klay, I think you go ahead and take LaMelo at number 2 if he's on the board. And to answer your question, Joe, my favorite player in this draft right now is another overseas player. I like Kalon Hayes. That's probably my favorite player.
Okay, very good. And it's funny, talking about Hayes there, Tony McGee, I see on your draft board, you've got him going number 10 to the Phoenix Suns. But let me ask you with LaMelo and the information that we're hearing or thinking, torn Achilles, if you're Golden State sitting at 2, are you changing your draft board right now?
I personally wouldn't. I mean, they have Andrew Wiggins, and they'd have to restructure their attack to find another shooter without Klay, but I don't necessarily think LaMelo would step in and be that shooter, so they'd be different as is. So I would go ahead and go with plan A if it's to take Wiseman and get yourself a 5 for the next 4 years on the cheap, a guy that could really make a big impact. But again, I mean, if Klay is out for a whole season, which that the verdict, if it's an Achilles, then clearly your draft night is it just went to terrible, regardless of who they take. And then there were conversations that they were open to trading that pick, and so if anybody likes Melo at 2, and if there is validity to him holding up a 2 because he's going to, it might not necessarily be the Warriors that will be. They might be selecting him, but they might not be keeping him. So we'll see what happens with that. I like Killian Hayes a lot. We're him based on highlight reels and stuff, but a lanky guard, really smooth. Looks like he belongs. 2 of those guys in this draft that potentially could go top 10 with him and Tyrese Halliburton from Iowa State being similar players, lanky 6'5" lead guards.
And Tony Finn, let me ask you, obviously that's some crazy ass news. If that is in fact the case, because I think a lot of people thought, all right, Golden State, you had your year off, you got the top draft pick, right? You got your ping pong ball, you're ready to rock and roll, you can reload. I don't know. I mean, are you a believer in Golden State? And no matter who they go with at number 2, are you a believer heading into this season that Golden State will pick up where they left off from a couple of years ago?
Well, I was about to interrupt you, but then you made the statement where they left off a couple years ago. We certainly
that's why
don't want them
listen, man. That's what when you.
we
you
certainly don't want them to pick
you
up where they left off last year, Joe.
Good to go.
I'm, as Tony just mentioned a name who I'm high. Truth, I can name you 10 teams that will really improve with a rookie by the name of Halliburton. I agree. I mean, 6'5", terrific 3-point shooter, by the way. When you shoot 47%, I think 46, 47 as a freshman, 42, 41, 42, he's just a terrific 3-point shooter. It reminds me of a Curry kind of a guy as far as touch goes and shooting and seemingly the same exactly. Muscle memory is amazing, and that's why he's a good 3-point shooter. That said, I'm not I'm of the thought that this isn't necessarily a soft draft. It may be soft, maybe not be top heavy. However, I think once you get into the middle of the first round, I think first round picks in this draft are critical. There's a lot of those players that you want to make sure you sign or at least draft a player that's going to portray or emulate or be fake being a number 1 draft pick if you're going to pay him that kind of money. So that said, there's a lot of teams who can use certain players, and we'll see. Minnesota and their new GM, he played the part when they were talking to him about who he's going to pick. That they are not going to pick just a player for money or star power or ticket box office. They were going to pick the best athlete regardless of fit. So. And if you guys listened like I did and heard him say that, then is that true? We've heard that from Minnesota for years and years that they were going to do this or that, and they didn't do it. So I'm really interested in the first pick.
Interesting that every draft, even we know that this might be a little bit top heavy here. Every draft, guys, and we're about 10 minutes away from the NBA ESPN with their coverage there, and we'll give you some of everybody's thoughts on who they have number 1, 2, and 3. But I want to go around quickly and get your thoughts on, we get it every year, guys, the undervalued, right? The guys that were very high, they go in their freshman year, they don't kill it, like Mannion, Arizona, Vernon Carey. I say there's some guys here that a lot of people look at the board and go, wow, I had them better before they played any time in college. So I'll go around with you, Rob. Give me a name or two here on this board that's probably dropping that may surprise a lot of people once the season begins.
Well, I'll give you one that's at the bottom of the board already, Joe, but who I think kind of mirrors to me what Chris Middleton looked like when he came out of college. Now, obviously, Chris Middleton's developed while he's been in the NBA. But for me, down the bottom of the draft, I've seen enough of Big 12 basketball to say that Desmond Bane, his shooting ability, his body is NBA ready at this point. They list him as a potential shooting guard in the league, but I think in the era of positionless basketball, I would just qualify him as wing. He's a very good defender, obviously playing for Jamie Dixon at TCU. You have to be. But I think that Desmond Bane is a guy that maybe, because he's at the bottom of the first round in most mock drafts, people aren't really looking at, but I think that could make an immediate contribution in this league. So for me, that would be a guy to look for, Desmond Bane.
Talk to me there, Tony Mejia. Give me an idea of who's on your board here that is undervalued right now, and it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
I think Halliburton's my favorite player in the he'll pick. My undervalued player, and we'll see, he might sneak into the lottery, is Josh Green from Arizona. He's 6'6" wing, powerfully built. He just turned 19 on Monday. He's from Australia, so a lot of people didn't get a chance to see him in high school. But he did play at IMG Academy down in Bradenton, a super power as far as the high school scene is concerned. And he played with Nico Mannion there. and he played with Nico Mannion at Arizona, and actually, but Green to me is the much better prospect. We'll see if Mannion even gets into the first round. Green certainly will. Defense first guy, nearly a 7-foot wingspan, and I think his floor is going to be a 3-and-D player. The ball in place 30 minutes a game, but if he develops that jump shot, he'll become an invaluable part of somebody's rotation. So Josh Green's a guy that I would, especially as the top 10 thins out, is going to be increasingly high on my board.
All right, Ski, talk to me here. Anybody undervalued, and how do you, if you were a betting man, how do you have it playing out? Give me the top 5 picks here tonight. If you were betting, not saying you are, but if you were a betting man and you were betting Tony Sawbucks, how would you bet tonight, man? Tell me what you got there.
Well, I have picks for all these guys. There's a couple that were plus money. I guess I'll give you those.
Sure.
Patrick Williams, I was looking at over 11.5. I think he'll drop, and it was at plus 215. I don't know if the odds for the USC center, I can't say his name correctly, really, Okongwu, but he was plus 165 to go over 6.5, and they're saying he had a foot injury. So if you're still getting good odds on him over 6.5, I think that's a good bet. And I still think, I'm not sure what the odds are on Edwards, but I do like him to go number 1. And there was one more. I think that's it. That's probably the ones I like the most.
All right, it's let me ask you there, Tony Mejia, because I know you got the list from hell here. You had mentioned, do you like going conferences, teams? How many players from Duke? You know, these are props that we've heard about over the last couple of years. Like, you can't always bet over with Duke, whether they're any good or they're not any good. Give me some teams. Give me some conferences. What are you playing here tonight that we should be looking at? We still got about 6 or 7 minutes before it goes off. We might be able to make a few bucks here.
That's Coach K's influence, strong arming scouts behind the scenes and making sure their guys get picked. But I don't know if he's going to have a lot of success this year. So let's start there with Duke having 3 potential first round picks, or late first round picks, that I actually have slipping into the second round. And granted, I think one of them probably does get into the first round. You take your pick as to who, between Vernon Carey Jr., who I like, and he's down to 240 pounds from the 270 playing weight, according to Coach K. Again, he could be lying just to make sure his guys get drafted, but I doubt he would. You got Trey Jones, the point guard, Tyus Jones' little brother. Tyus has been around the league for a long time, first with the Timberwolves and now with the Grizzlies. Trey's essentially a carbon copy of him. And Cassius Stanley, who I would take a flyer on, a real great athlete, kind of played third fiddle on this past Duke team, but he could be a first-round pick. Now, the reason why I mentioned those guys is because I'm big on the ACC producing under 5.5 players selected in this first round, and all 3 of those guys are not going to get drafted. The only other 3 I see are, at the top of the draft, the State's tandem with Patrick Williams and Darius Vassell. I think both of those guys will be in the lottery. But then you've got to go to Cole Anthony at UNC in the 20s for out of the ACC. So I really do think there's value in going under ACC there. I think there's value in see any first-round picks besides Halliburton and Desmond Bain, who Rob mentioned. And then I don't see any value in going over 5.5 in the SEC. I think there are going to be exactly 5 players taken there, and they'll go early. And then anybody who's betting the over on that is going to have a long night. Edwards is obviously going early. I like Okoro from Auburn. He's one of my favorite players as well. We got Kyra Lewis from Alabama, should go in the top 15. Smith, the shooter from Vanderbilt, lock top 20 pick. And Wendell Maxey, Tyrese Maxey from Kentucky should be a first-round pick. After that, I don't see another one. So I go under there. The only conference that I like the over on is the Pac-12, with Okongwu definitely being the first Pac-12 player selected. But we could see 3 Arizona players selected. Go my guy Green. I don't think Mannion will make it, but then you've got another set in Washington with McDaniels, who I really like. Stewart is going to be in that mix. Then you've got Ty Terry from Stanford, potential first-round pick, and an X factor in Colorado is Tyler Bay. So to me, I think the Pac-12 there offers value in going over 5.5 first-round picks.
All right, great stuff there. And guys, take advantage of what's going on below me there at the scroll right now. And we'll get there. I see you. I'm going to get you, Ski, because I know you got some. I see those Ski eyes. Like, I know when he's got something that it just popped up, man. Ski's like ready to rock and roll here. But I do want to remind you guys, the early bird pricing, this is the lowest you're ever going to be able to get it. Any one of these gentlemen are going to make you a boatload of money this NBA season. And right now you can get it $150 off any. If over the next 24 hours, you're going to get it a lot cheaper than you can throughout the season. So take advantage of it, guys. NBA 150. That's how you go ahead and do it at checkout. Head over to WagerTalk.com, SportsMemo.com. Take advantage of it. Ski, what'd you find out first, man? What do you got going on there?
Knicks and Warriors in late trade talks for the number 2 pick. So I think LaMelo is going over there to New York.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I was just going to ask you, Rob. I'll go to Tony afterwards, but let me ask you. Of the top 10, we've got Minnesota, Golden State, Charlotte, Chicago, Cleveland, the Hawks, the Pistons, the Knicks at 8, Washington at 9 again, and then the Phoenix Suns. Who do you see making a move, if any, here of these teams? Do you see Minnesota holding on to it? Do you see it? They got a boatload of draft picks coming up here over the next couple of years. They got a whole lot coming their way. Do you see them moving down in this particular draft?
Well, I know they were open to all offers, but I don't think so, Joe. I think they'll make the pick. I think that Atlanta's been mentioned and with more than one player. So potential for Atlanta to make a trade, maybe draft somebody for another team in return for a veteran player. If we turn this real quick from just draft betting to NBA future betting, I'd have to say that if the window's still open to it and the Klay Thompson information is what it is, or potentially bad news for Golden State, without him, they're not getting to 43.5 wins this year. So season over-under win total would certainly be affected by Golden State if it's still available. You might want to go ahead and take a flyer on under if Klay is severely hurt. Certainly their future odds to win the NBA title will get knocked down because they were right up there as one of the top 5 teams to win the whole thing. But yeah, I think that you can take advantage maybe of a couple of things from future bets as well as draft betting here tonight.
Interesting. Tony Finn, let me ask you here. Any sort of future bets, anything that you got going on with the NBA, and is there a possibility of the Knicks moving up, or should we just stick a fork in them now and just let's just call it a season? It is what it is, New York Knicks fans.
Well, I'd like to see New York. I'd like to see New York succeed. Successful Knicks. Yeah. Again, these guys already talked into it, and they know. If you all know what's going on there, well, I don't have to say. But New York succeeding is good for the NBA. It really is good for the NBA. I'm old enough, much older than these guys, the rest of you guys on this panel. But some of my first memories from NBA basketball back when we didn't have internet, and we had to use an outhouse, and we had 3 channels on the television.
Outhouse, Finn. Who you talking? I mean, really,
yeah. Well, that's
God,
because of my illness, but
yes, I know.
It's because of my disease. But that said, Earl of Pearl and Willis, those were good days. I thought they were really good NBA. They left an impression. I mean, it's hard to do on a 19-year-old kid. So it started my affection for the NBA because I was already the town I grew up in was a big college basketball town. So I already had akin to that passion. But that said, I'm also old school a little bit when it comes to basketball. I'm not so much new school. And my question to you guys, the rest of this panel is while he's not the best shooter, and while I know that, listen, if you're going to be a big in the NBA nowadays, you better be able to shoot or you're not going to play. Or you're not going to succeed, let's say. I think most would agree to that. There's this kid out of Auburn who this goes contrary to what Ski was talking about Melo being, or who was it, you, Rob? Somebody was saying that the worst defensive player in the Australian League. That's something that's hard to accomplish, guys. It's really hard to accomplish.
Yep.
I mean, think about that. But there's a kid from Auburn that I really like, and I was curious whether I noticed he had draft. He'd fallen in the draft. Okoro had fallen in the draft recently because of some decline, kind of the ascent of Patrick Williams, if I'm not mistaken. And I watched a lot of SEC basketball, a lot of Big 12 basketball, as Rob mentioned, and I was surprised at what he could do on the floor in the SEC as far as who he could guard, his versatility, and he's easily, in my opinion, of the guys that I studied in this draft, the best defensive player. And it's rare. It's a rare and it's a valuable asset in my book if you can come out of college and actually defend in the NBA in your rookie season. Arguments with that? Anybody have an idea about Okoro? Is he going to be a lottery pick?
Tony Mejia, let me ask you over there. What do you think about the kid from Auburn?
Well, let me take care of my buddy, the other Tony, and tell him, first of all, I back Okoro. I think he's great. I actually just saw an interview with Bruce Pearl where he called him a Frenier because he was a freshman, but he acted like a senior. And he mentioned that he could guard 1 through 5. Definitely one of those players that's going to be an asset here. And to me, I think he's the missing piece in a prop that I also like, and we'll get it in because I see Adam Silver already at the podium. I think we got a few minutes until that number 1 pick. If you can get the freshman drafted in the top 10 prop available, I think it was at 140 when I saw it, I would certainly take the over on that because, Tony, I like Isaac Okoro to slip into the top 10, and I think Patrick Williams will be there, Onyeka Okongwu will be there, and obviously James Wiseman and Anthony Edwards, both freshman number 1 picks and going in the top 10. So to me, I think the over on 4.5 freshmen going in the top 10 is a solid bet if you can still get that in. But yeah, he's going to be solid. And I think his offensive game will actually. Auburn has done a job of getting prospects into that into the mix over the last few years under Bruce Pearl. The Orlando Magic last year, despite the fact that he had a torn ACL, just because they liked the style of play that he brought on both ends of the floor. And Okoro is a very similar player, little smaller but similar.
Adam Silver is yes, he is. He's getting ready here. So let's go around the horn here quick. We'll start with Rob Vino. Rob, give me your top 3, man. Who is it? Whose name is he calling, and to what team?
Well, I think it'll be Edwards 1, Wiseman 2, and then LaMelo 3 to the Charlotte team. A little bit different than what we would have thought 4 days ago. Real quick here, guys, something that I'm hearing is that by the end of the night, the Dallas Mavericks will either walk away with Buddy Hield or Danilo Gallinari. Obviously, OKC's been on a trading spree. It wouldn't surprise me, but that'll be a missing piece for the Mavs. Anybody who wants to get the jump on them NBA futures-wise, either wins or a conference title. Certainly, if they walk away with one of those, Dallas will be better for it.
Go ahead, Ski. Talk to me, man. Where's it going? How do you see it unfolding here over the next 20 minutes?
Well, I have Edwards number 1. I have LaMelo going number 2 to the Knicks, and I have Wiseman at 3 to Charlotte. So that's what I'm looking at.
And Obi Falls, do you think goes to Chicago, or where do you think? Is he the overvalued one here?
I think Chicago. I don't think Chicago. I think Chicago goes with the foreigner guy, the guy from overseas. So I don't think he goes there. I think Obi is a little bit later.
He's going to fall down. All right, Tony Mejia, talk to me, my man. Where's it going here? Where's your board at?
Well, pre-5 minutes ago or pre-10 minutes ago, and Ski drop in the Instagram live spoiler. I would have gone with the basic number 1 going Edwards to Wiseman and 3 Ball. But now if the Knicks are in play, I mentioned them earlier. I think that's the team that would have made that move to sweeten the pot by moving up earlier today. So that does it for me. I'll agree that I think we're going to get a shakeup in this draft. LaMelo ends up going 2 to New York, and Wiseman as the best player available would then go 3. But Deni Avdija from Israel, certainly a nice prospect, could slip in there if somebody likes him enough.
All right, and Tony Finn, I'll give you the last one here. Give me your 3. Is it Edwards, Ball? Like, how do you have it rolling out here?
I have it Edwards and Wiseman, and then I have 3 or 4 players in the next couple 3 or 4 picks, and again I mentioned to you I'm not convinced that Charlotte or Chicago would pick Ball. And that's just my opinion on need and what I do as well as anybody, and that's listen to coaches, and I can read them. I can read them or GMs, right? I think it wouldn't surprise me if Cleveland, if Ball didn't go number one, it wouldn't surprise me if Cleveland though selected Ball. That's just my pick. So I really don't have a third pick. I wanted to not be Ball because I did play the over 2.5, guys. Even if so I took that, and I got $1.90. That's why I said.
It's funny. All he is Anthony Edwards across the board appears to be the draft there, and that seems to be the top pick. Ski, I'm looking here. I'm trying to find out when do the Lakers choose? What? I don't see any.
28.
Okay, 28th over there. All right, and they're just gonna.
I know you're not talking Mr. Miami.
I'm looking at Miami at number 20. You know that, man. I don't want to hear it. But honestly, guys, the draft is upon us here. So chaos is, I think, what we can all hope for here. Let the Knicks move up. Let Golden State blow. Let it just be total chaos. The NBA just a couple of weeks away, which means any one of these gentlemen, you have the opportunity right now to get their entire NBA season at a price you won't be able to get it any other time other than right now for the next 24 hours. Go ahead, whether it be Tony Mejia, whether it be Rob Vino, whether it be Ski, or hell, even Mr. Tony Finn there. Guys, right now is the way to do it. Get it at a price and make this NBA season one of the most profitable ones yet. So on behalf of Tony Mejia, Rob Vino, Ski Profit, Tony Finn, gentlemen, thank you very much for stopping by. Enjoy it. Best of luck. We got Maction football we got to get to here. Has Northern Illinois scored yet? I don't even know. We'll get to that, though. But best of luck,
They
guys.
scored 5 times already.
For Christ's sakes, Finn. I knew you would be doing that. Guys, good luck, man. Enjoy the draft. Thank you. We'll come back and we'll see you again soon. Best of luck.